is with me on the phone line right now. Rhythm, good morning, Rhythm. This exoneration coming in from the Supreme Court, in fact, the court says that it finds this plea devoid of any merit at all.
Absolutely. Nupur, the Supreme Court upholds the Gujarat High Court order. They say Zakia Jafri's appeal is devoid of merit, deserves to be dismissed. Justice Khanwilkar, Maheshwari and Ravi Kumar heard these arguments in the case over 15 days in November and December. We saw appearing Petition couple Sybil, who argued that the SIT had glaring evidences of collaboration. The words that were used by couple Sybil as lawyer for Zakia Jafri were not taken too lightly. And before I go across Nupur to Swapnil Kothari, let me tell you what really happened in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not take Sybil's allegations lightly when he attacked the manner of investigation done by the SIT. They said it is the same SIT that filed charge sheets. He responded and said that there were other cases in which the SIT should have done its job of protection. However, the Supreme Court, not taking this very lightly, has stated against it. Let me also tell you what the Solicitor General of India, Tushar Mehta, in the Supreme Court said, lashing out its allegations of larger conspiracy by the propaganda army. He said there was a larger conspiracy to attack the entire state of Gujarat. He also countered this appeal and said that there was a larger conspiracy involving the highest echelons of Gujarat in 2002 when Prime Minister Modi was then Chief Minister. He also said that this is only being done because Ms. Jafri is being exploited, he said, by petitioner number 2, that is Tisa Setalwad in the case. He says witnesses were tortured, tutored and evidence was fabricated. I also want to tell you what Mukul Rohde, who appeared for the SIT, told the Supreme Court when he said, this is only being done, Mukul, to keep the courts boiling. This complaint was made 4.5 years after the 2002 riots, and imagine the whole system of criminal justice would go for a sixth. So everything has become topsy-turvy is what Mr. Rohde submitted in the Supreme Court. And finally, the Supreme Court, taking all the arguments before them, has said the SIT was fine. There should be no closure. There should have been a closure report that was filed in 2012 by them. It's fine. It has given a clean chit to the Prime Minister and 63 others. And this protest petition has now been dismissed. And clearly the Gujarat High Court also in 2017 had refused to entertain this. I also want to try and go across lawyers who have been, Mukul Rohde appeared in the case, senior advocate. But Mukul, if I could just give our viewers a sense of how long this case has been to the Supreme Court. Petitioner number 2 questions the entire SIT, and this is something that the judges of the top court who heard this matter last year did not take too lightly. I also like, we've been told Swapnil is on the phone line with us. Swapnil, if you can give us a sense of finally a vindication, because this entire process was a larger conspiracy by certain people to try and besmirch our government.
It remains that when Gujarat High Court in 2017 gave a clean chit, saying, or rather approved of the clean chit given by the SIT, and it did not find any prosecutable evidence, there was no question that the Supreme Court would overturn Gujarat High Court's order simply because unless the petitioner is able to show that the Gujarat High Court overlooked this very cogent evidence or this very prosecutable evidence, and the High Court erred in its wisdom. In that sense, then the Supreme Court would have perhaps overturned it. But the fact is that the Supreme Court did not find any such material on record, no prosecutable evidence. The language devoid of any merit is very, very clear. The courts rarely use these kind of phrases unless and until they find that the petition is absolutely bogus. And if it was a conspiracy, the Supreme Court has not entered that region at all, simply because it has gone on the basis of the merit. But you and I both know that there was this sort of a cabal which was very much against the then Chief Minister at that time and trying to malign both the state of Gujarat, which was progressing extensively under his Chief Ministership. And then, of course, when he went on to become the Prime Minister, obviously this case lingered on for ages. And now that the Supreme Court, after 7 months, has delivered its verdict, the people who have petitioned have one another option, that is, they have to go in a review petition. But I don't think that the review petition will hold any merit, because the scope of a review in a criminal law is extremely limited, and there has to be an error apparent on the face of the record, and you cannot add any more evidence, you cannot bring in further documents. So the court is eventually going to give the same ruling. So it would be a complete waste of time. So,
Yes.
this is eventually.
Swapnil, I also want to speak. Swapnil, we also want to speak about the manner in which Kapil Sibal, who appeared for Teesta Sehsalwab, had attacked the SIT, and the Supreme Court did not take it too lightly when they said the SIT has filed charge sheets in other cases. They've convicted people. There are no such grievances in those proceedings. So the manner of investigation by the SIT being raised in this stage did not go down too well with the Supreme Court. And also, Swapnil, one word on how the Solicitor General said there's a larger conspiracy to malign the state of Gujarat in this case.
Well, obviously, the way Mr. Sibal may have said, it often happens that we lawyers, in the heat of the arguments that we want to present and want to convince the court of the case, we tend to sometimes cross the line. And if he may have crossed the line and the Supreme Court may have found umbrage, I've taken umbrage at it, that look, this is no way to talk about the SIT, especially the SIT which was formed by us. And unless and until you point out some real gaping holes in the SIT's investigation, there's no way that this language is going to be justified. So, and of course, then Tushar Mehta obviously countered that by stating that there is an overall conspiracy to malign. And obviously that found favor with the Supreme Court, because when you don't have merit in the case, when there is no evidence presented, obviously it either becomes a complete figment of your imagination, or it's a deliberate attempt to malign. So in either cases, the court is not going to find it in your favor, and that is exactly what has happened. So now eventually there has to be a quietus on this case. It cannot go on any further. And even if they want to go by a review petition, it's a complete waste of their time on their part, which they are very well entitled to, spend or expend, if I should say. And eventually that's also going to meet the same fate, because this is now done and dusted with. This case is over. As far as I am concerned, and I think as far as the nation is concerned, also it should be over. And we have to move on in life.
Absolutely. I also went to tell our viewers, Republic TV, this is the 450-page judgment that comes in from the Supreme Court, and the judgment is very clear, where in the judgment there are details that are given out in this case about how this case needs to be dismissed.